Recently we did a video about my Powerbuilt Unijack that I used for my GMC Canyon. There's a lot of great conversation and feedback and some things that we want to test out. That's the peak there, and you can't quite get it. Number one thing we want to test out is the call out that this won't work for a flat tire. Let's give it a try in the actual wild here. I'm going to deflate one of the wheels, see if the jack will work, and then if it doesn't work, what other things can we do to try to work around it and get this tire off the ground. Deflated down to around 5 psi. So I know this isn't, say, blowout level. I'm only willing to go so far for science in my case. So 5 psi, these are SL load tires. They're not E. So this is down pretty low, as you can see from some of the close-up video. Now I'm gonna see first, can I take the jack as is and still fit it underneath one of the jack points? And I think that was some of the call outs that I got in the previous video, so let's give that a test. All right, so for some interesting footage, we can watch me struggle to get this slid underneath. Let's see here. Initially, say at the lowest setting, we easily have some clearance, but let's see if we can raise that up a little bit. First test point, at this lower level, you're not going to be able to leverage anything, at least on my truck, other than the lowest setting on the jack. Let's pump her up and see if it would be possible to get it high enough off the ground at this setting, or if we have to think about doing a few extra things to accommodate. So I will say the base is pretty stable here. This is kind of like a sandy, gravelly spot.
Break for lunch and come back.
That's the peak there, and you can't quite get it off the ground enough with the suspension at the one setting. Test one, near complete flat. You can fit the jack under at the lowest setting, but not quite high enough to actually get the tire and the wheel off. So let's bring her back down, and I got some other ideas to try here. All right, so plan B that I saw suggested is to leverage one of these traction boards or recovery boards to get the starting point a little higher off the ground. So then maybe I can work the jack in at this point. Now our concern, Steve wisely raised, is whatever I'm sticking underneath this in terms of traction board actually going to just give me a raise amount that allows me to not get it off of the traction board. So let's find out. It's definitely a higher starting point. Let's see what that buys us. So, still a little bit of weight on that board.
Plan?
Okay, let's give it some thought and see what we can do. Be right back. Okay, so let's revisit. I moved it up to the second position. Definitely gets it up, but not high enough where I could pull this traction board back out. just for grins, I assumed it wouldn't make it at 0.3, so let's try that. There we go. Might take a little. Lock that down. All right, so for your off-roading use, it seems that I can combine this at the height that I would normally use it out of my garage, which is the third peg hole on the jack stand portion. Roll your truck up, in this case rolled it up onto single traction board. That raised the overall wheel height just enough where I can fit the jack under that height, get it off the ground enough to pull the traction board out from underneath. Now, this is one possible test. I'm sure there's much stickier situations out there than this that you could run into, but I think, you know, with some good old-fashioned ingenuity, rolling your truck around, finding the right point to get the front end positioned such that the jack will work, definitely seems like it's going to work, at least for me and the type of off-roading that we've been doing so far. Oh, one last thought. I'm using SL tires, which are much fewer plies on the sidewall, so if you're driving around on, say, E-load range, I imagine at that 5, you're probably not even losing as much clearance because the sidewalls might be holding the tire up a bit more, so it might be even less of a problem. But would love to hear in the comments if somebody's tried this out on their own, see how it's worked out for them.
If you want to see more content like this, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button.
We can have a new clip. We'll call it Wheeling Over 50.